currencies and safe havens. Nick Twidale from ATFX joining me. Hello, Nick.
Hello.
A lot has happened in gold since we last spoke.
Yeah, just a bit, isn't it? I mean, I think even for us FX guys, we've been focusing a lot on what's going on in the metals. It has been crazy. I think I went through some numbers yesterday. Gold did close to 30% on the month and then dropped nearly that in a couple of days. Silver did close to 70% and did a similar thing. So at the moment for gold and for silver, we're here to talk about technicals. Technicals are kind of blown out the water. It really is flow driven. There's not much in the way of fundamentals that are driving this market. We've kind of been saying a few things. Some commentators out there were calling the move back down on the Kevin Walsh announcement, but the rest of the market certainly didn't move 10-20% on that. So it's crazy markets at the moment. There's a lot of fundamental issues going on behind gold and silver, and I think they'll kind of sort themselves out and we'll get back to more normal trading conditions in the coming weeks.
Yeah, you got to think whether it was just a correction that needed to be had. I know Deutsche Bank's still saying 6,000 is their target. Let's have a look at the Aussie dollar though, because of course we did see the RBA coming through with hiking. The governor wasn't really drawn on whether this is start of an aggressive cycle, but it does seem like the Aussie dollar believes maybe it is.
Yeah, I think so. I think certainly the market took it as a slightly more hawkish forward guidance after the hike was obviously fully expected. And I think we were talking props 3 months ago and we were looking at the next cut.
Yeah.
And now we're talking hikes and potentially a hiking cycle. So the market certainly, we saw a decent jump in the Aussie, well through 70 cents. It does seem like the Aussie's going to be bid on dips. Where we go against the dollar, of course, the dollar side of the equation will be coming in strongly. But on the crosses, I certainly think against most of the other majors, certainly, that you're going to be wanting to buy any dip for the Aussie.
All right, buy the dip there. What about what we're seeing with sterling? I mentioned Bank of England's rate decision tonight.
Yeah, they could both be damp squibs, both Bank of England and the ECB. But as always with cable, we will see moves whatever happens. We've got the statement and we've got the press conference after. So it's going to be very interesting. Like Bank of England and like most central banks, they're still juggling with this inflation jobs issue. Numbers have been slightly better over there. So I'm thinking once again, it's going to be fairly boring and we're going to see, we are data dependent. Let's see how the data goes, which means for cable traders, when we do start to get any big surprises on data in the next month or two, we will see big moves.
Okay, and you mentioned the ECB might be a damp squid too, but what we've got the euro around $1.18? Yeah,
it's around about 118 at the moment. We saw that nice run up, but when the dollar got really smashed before, we're up to sort of 120-ish. I think what we're going to be seeing is probably a little bit more range trading. As you said, those moves in gold do transfer over to what we're seeing in currencies. There has been some safe haven moves for the dollar recently. We've seen some decent appreciation in the dollar. I'm happy to be fading sort of any rallies that we see up towards sort of 120 in the euro. I think sadly for the euro and probably sadly for cable as well, we're going to remain range bound until we start to see those fundamentals kick in. But geopolitics are dictating all moves in markets at the moment.
Well, they certainly are. And so what does that mean then for dollar yen as well?
Well, dollar yen, that's the interesting one. So we've seen intervention. Was it intervention? We're not too sure. That took us down about 450 points. It is, as always, the market is now challenging that intervention. And it makes sense because it goes back to where it naturally was before there was the artificial move that came through. So we're back up to about 157. We dipped all the way to about 152. These are big moves, but now we're hitting that 157 level and we've seen the last 3 days of quite strong appreciation. The question is, do we start to hear from the BOJ? But we've now got the Bank of Japan kind of, from a currency perspective, going against the Prime Minister. So those elections are key. It's bid on dips certainly for dollar yen at the moment, but once we've hit these levels, we're at 157. If we get to 158, that intervention talk will come stronger and traders will naturally be nervous, having seen that 400-point hit before.
Yeah, it's been a big week. Let's see what next week brings for you guys as well. Nick, thank you.
Thank you.
Nick Twidale from ATFX.